Director, could you hold on just a moment, please?
Yep. All right, and Chair Lau, you are live and ready to go whenever you want to kick us off.
Okay, hello everyone and welcome to today's meeting. I hereby call the July 27th meeting of OCTA's Special Needs Advisory Committee to order and provide my chair's report. As my chair's report, it gives me great pleasure to let you all know that the goal has been met. After years of operating with snack vacancies, we now have a full snack committee, as full as can be. A very special thanks to our OCTA staff and snack members who secured a record number of applicants to well represent our local community. I'd also like to thank the individual OCTA Board of Director members who then formally appointed these 7 applicants to each snack vacancy to serve 3-year terms. As I welcome each of you, please again state your name to correct my pronunciation if need be, and please tell us a little bit about yourself along with your inspirations and aspirations for joining OCTA's Special Needs Advisory Committee. Welcome, Scott Quinlan of Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation of Southern California. Scott, are you with us?
Yes, as she said, my name is Scott Quinlan. I've been a board member on the Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation for the last 5 years. I'm current vice president of the board. Other aspirations of mine, I just finished my 2-year term as the Orange County Guide Dogs for the Blind president. I am also a social worker. I finished my degree at Cal State Long Beach. My bachelor's is in psychology and my master's is in social work. And I look forward to working with OCTA and help moving this forward and making it better for all consumers of all services. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And now we have John Ott of Surf Seniors on the Go.
Yeah, I'm a volunteer with Huntington Beach Surf City Seniors on the Go. And I've also served on the board of directors for the Orange County Make-A-Wish. And presently I drive and volunteer for the Huntington Beach service. And I find that one of these days, I'm probably going to need this service, being 74 years old. And I'm very interested in staying involved and see if I can help move things forward.
I think, John, they say 74 years young.
You know, my granddaughter asked me once, how old is old? And I told her, anybody older than me. And she goes, okay.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'll keep that in mind. All right, John Pete, who is mayor of Cypress. Is John with us today?
I am. John Pete, I'm the mayor of Cypress.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm also the chairman of the board of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Anaheim and Cypress. I have a 28-year-old special needs son who is a consumer of the Access program. And so Supervisor Foley asked me if I would serve on the committee, and I gladly do that and just hope to contribute. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And Arturo Cesares?
Good afternoon, everyone. Arturo Cazares, the Associate Director of Employment Services with the Regional Center of Orange County. With that, I do oversee the development and implementation of adult day services, employment services, and transportation services for the individuals that we serve. So I'm very glad to be here with you all. And if I can help in any way, just please let me know. Looking forward to being a part of this group. Thank you.
And we look forward to you helping us as well. Richard King of the OC Guide Dogs Alumni Chapter President.
Good day. Thanks for having me on. My name again is Richard King. I'm live in Fountain Valley, and I'm blind, and I travel with a guide dog, and I use the access services and occasionally the big bus services quite a bit. I also do a bit of volunteering work over at the Braille Institute in Anaheim and facilitate the infamous men's group over there. Didn't start that group, but I took it over from a gentleman named Wayne Heidel, and yeah, Wayne, yes. And I also actively involved in the guide dog chapter in Orange County, and I also facilitate a support group, a visually impaired support group over at Leisure World. And I think I already mentioned I live in Orange County and Fountain Valley specifically, and I'm interested in being involved on the ground with ideas and trying to get that information from the ground upwards so that the transportation services actually reflect the needs of us travelers. So thanks again.
And Richard, when you speak of Leisure World, are you speaking of Leisure World in Seal Beach?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, welcome to our committee.
Thank you.
Now, Giovanna Lara. Giovanna is with the La Habra Collaborative of St. Jude's Senior Services. Is Giovanna here? I know she was at the orientation.
Looks like she is not on this call, so she must have had a conflict.
Okie doke. Well, we'll move on. I want to welcome Pam Thompson of the Saddleback Unified School District.
Hi, Sue. Thank you. My name is Pam Thompson. I live in Mission Viejo, and let's see. I work for the Saddleback School District as an instructional aide for special needs preschoolers. Actually, my group is all children with autism. My son is 20 and he has autism. He uses the OCTA access services. He also attended New Vista School in Laguna Hills, and a lot of their students they use OCTA access for transportation, as well as the New Vista Academy, which my son just started attending last month. And so, and I'm also, we have a big tribe. The parents of special needs, usually we have like a big tribe of families, and a lot of those kids use OCC access. A lot of them don't even know about that service. So my goal is to kind of get my community kind of informed of that, and also get feedback from them about what their needs are.
Thank you. And welcome to our Special Needs Advisory Committee. Per Governor Newsom's executive orders authorizing a local legislative body to hold public meetings via teleconference and to make public meetings accessible electronically to the public, this meeting is accessible through OCTA's website, and members will be joining remotely to practice social distancing. Will the staff liaison please read any public comments that were submitted by the deadline?
Good afternoon, Chair Lau and committee members. This is Jared Hill, the SNAC staff liaison. There was one public comment submitted on July 27th, 2021 at 9:49 a.m. OCTA's Public Outreach Department received a public comment from Mr. Alan Schuman. The comment was emailed to the committee on July 27th at 11:19 a.m. and will be retained as part of the record for today's committee meeting. Chair Lau, that concludes my report. All right, and now we can move into protocol announcements. A few meeting protocol reminders for the SNAC members and staff participating via Zoom. Please remember to mute and unmute yourself when speaking. As required by the governor's executive orders, a roll call vote will be required for attendance and for agenda items that require action by the SNAC. SNAC members, please state for the record your name when speaking. And feel free to have your camera on or off. Presenters will have their cameras on, but you do not need to feel that you need to do so. Staff, please state for the record your name and job title. And for your information, this SNAC meeting is being streamed on YouTube. It has a 20-second delay from the live meeting. And please feel free to utilize both the raise your hand and chat box features. We'll be monitoring both of those throughout the meeting.
Okay, staff liaison Jared, please proceed with the attendance roll call.
Perfect. Thank you. 1 second. And so 1 sec, it's loading here. Okay, there we go. Okay. So we have Arturo Casares.
I think people will have to unmute their mic when they report attendance, please.
Arturo Casares, perfect. Bhumit Shah. Brandy Kelly Contreras.
Present.
Caroline Wallstrom. Cesar Hernandez.
Present.
Ellen Shank. Erica Danchek. Giovanna Lara. Gloria Reyes. Henry Michaels.
Present.
Isaac Lopez. John Ott.
Present.
Present.
Okay, got Isaac and John. And then we have John Ulrich. John Pete.
Here.
Mallory Vega. Mary Lou Shattuck.
Present.
Mike Gonzalez. Jake Schwartzberg. Pam Thompson.
Present.
Paul Miller.
Present.
Raymond Buke.
Present.
Richard King.
Present.
Sandra Albayar. Sandra Stang. Sandra Stang. Sandy Rains.
Present.
Scott Quinlan.
Present.
Sue Lau.
Present.
Tom Krogstad.
I'm here.
Tracy Briers. And
Present.
Wayne Heidel.
Present.
Got both of you. Okay, Sue Lau, the committee has quorum.
Thank you. All right. Will everyone please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Chair Paul Miller as a salute to the flag of allegiance of the United States of America. I ask that you either mute your microphone or mouth the words in order to avoid audio issues. The flag will now be displayed on the screen.
All right, everybody join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. This brings us to the approval of the minutes and attendance report for the April 27th, 2021 meeting can be found in your agenda packets. Do I hear a first? Please state your name.
Wayne Heidel. Approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Wayne, for
Ray
first.
I second.
And
Ray
who's
Beakey.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Who is the second? My apologies.
Sure, Ray Beakey. Sorry, Christina.
Thank you.
There being no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Staff liaison, will you roll call the vote, please?
Arturo Casares. Bhumit Shah. Randy Kelly Contreras.
Yay.
Carolyn Wallstrom. Cesar Hernandez. Ellen Shank. Erica Danchek. Giovanna Lara. Gloria Reyes. Henry Michaels.
Yay.
Isaac Lopez.
Approve.
John Ott. I see your hand raised. Thank you, John. John Ulrich. John Pete.
Aye.
Mallory Vega. Mary Lou Shattuck.
Approve.
Mike Gonzalez.
Here.
Jake Schwartzberg. Pam Thompson. Pam Thompson. Paul
Aye.
Miller. Oh, thank you.
Approve.
Perfect. Raymond Buke.
Approve.
Richard King.
Approve.
Sandra Albayar. Sandra Stang.
Approve.
Sandy Rains.
Abstain. I was not present last month.
Thank you. Scott Quinlan.
Abstain, wasn't present.
Thank you. Sue Lau.
Approved.
Tom Krogstead.
Approve.
Tracy Byers.
Approved.
Wayne Heidel.
Approved.
Thank you. And Arturo, I got yours as well. Motion passes.
Thank you, Jared. The next item is item number 3, the election of chair and vice chair for the term year of 2021 to 2022. And before I hand the mic over to Jared to conduct the election, I wanted to say a warm thank you to our Special Needs Advisory Committee for allowing Paul and me to serve in this capacity for the last couple of years. It has been an honor to chair this committee. And Paul, did you want to add anything?
No, just echo the thank you. I appreciate everybody's involvement and ideas and suggestions. It makes for a very robust meeting and committee, which I'm sure is important to our OCTA folks.
Yes, we appreciate everyone's input and support. So now I turn this over to Jared.
Thank you, Chair Lau. Traditionally, we would have the new chair step in immediately following the election, but since we are meeting remote and not able to have the opportunity to discuss meeting protocol with the selected chair, I'd like to ask Chair Lau to chair the remainder of this meeting, and if needed, we can onboard new leadership to serve as chair starting at the next meeting. Staff contacted the committee on 2 occasions to find interests from members in serving as chair and vice chair. The names of the members interested in serving as chair that self-nominated will now be displayed on the screen. Does anyone else wish to self-nominate? Great. Do any of the members running for chair wish to make any remarks?
This is Sue Lau. I would just like to say thank you again to everyone for having the confidence in me as a writer of Access and a writer of OCTA to be in leadership for the past few years. And it's been a pleasure of mine to be on the committee for over a decade.
Thank
If
you,
there's
Sue.
anything, if there's anything I can do to help any further, I'd be happy to do that.
Great. Do any other members running for chair wish to make any remarks?
This is Isaac Lopez. First of all, I want to thank Sue for her service. She's been a great chair, and nothing personal, but I just feel that I've been serving on this committee for one term, and I would like to contribute my skills to this committee.
Thank you, Isaac.
Yeah,
This
hello.
is Wayne Heidel.
This is Caesar.
All right, I heard, I think I heard, was that Caesar first? Can we do Caesar and then Wayne?
Yes, I've been in transportation for over 30 years, and I joined this board to be able to be a voice and show the concerns of our residents and the disabled and the frail. And I will, since I joined the board, there's been a change in my life. I am now permanently disabled and get a whole different perspective of what it feels to be on the other end. I've tried all my life to make the difference and improve the needs of the elderly and frail. And I like to make a bigger difference by becoming either chair or vice chair with your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caesar. And Wayne, would you like to make some remarks?
Okay. Well, my name is Wayne Heidel. I've been on the committee for several years. I'm visually impaired. I have a guide dog named Poncho, and just recently retired as a professor for the Southern California College of Optometry and as a university director for Marshall B. Ketchum University. And so I just thought I'd see what I could do with serving on a committee like this. Thank you. Sure, I'll talk to you if that's all right.
I didn't see who that was.
It's Ray, Jared.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, thank you for the committee. Thank you, Sue and Paul, for your running of this meeting. And so I applied or nominated myself for the SNAC or the vice chair. I've spent my career in transition and supporting students with disabilities and accessing the community, and want to sort of continue to give back to the community and see if I can help this committee as well. Eventually I hopefully be able to award the OC Access Driver of the Year, the exceptional awards, but looking just to lend a voice for those students in South Orange County on sort of the mobility needs that we have down here as well. That would be honored to serve this committee in either the chair or the vice chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. All right, so I believe we have heard from everyone who is running for chair. Would you all please take a moment to select a member on the screen in this anonymous ballot?
Jared, are you able to resend that?
It should still be up on the screen, as I still see votes coming in. And looks like just about everyone has voted. I'll just give it another minute here.
When I mute and unmute my mic, I am unable to see that screen.
Let's see.
Are you able to put in the chat your selection? If you're
You can
not,
send me a private chat to Christina
Yeah.
or I, yeah. But looks like we have just about everyone. So if you could just shoot a private message, that would be great.
in the private chat, there's a to button, and you can click on where it says everyone, and then you can send it to just Jared or myself if you'd like your response.
All right. I am not seeing the chat. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end polling here. Just about every single person voted. All right, and the recipient of the most votes is Wayne Heidel. And with that, I'd like to say it looks like Wayne Heidel received the most votes. As required from the governor's orders, a roll call is voted to affirm all action items. Would someone like to make a motion to elect Wayne Heidel as chair?
So moved, Sue Lau.
Thank you, Sue. And can I get a second?
I second it,
Clement.
Tracy Briers.
Tracy Briers, perfect. All right, I will now conduct a roll call vote. Okay, Arturo Casares.
Aye.
Umit Shah. Brandy Kelly Contreras.
Approve.
Carolyn Wallstrom. Cesar Hernandez. Cesar, you're on mute. Okay, Ellen Shank. Erica Danchek. Giovanna Lara. Gloria Reyes. Henry Michaels.
Approve.
Isaac Lopez.
Approve.
John Ott. Thank you, John. John Ulrich. John Pete.
Approve.
Mallory Vega. Mary Lou Shattuck. I'm going to mute Caesar. There's some background noise. Mike Gonzalez.
Approve.
Thank you. Jake Schwartzberg. Pam Thompson.
Approve.
Paul Miller.
Concur.
Raymond Buke.
Approve.
Richard King.
Approve.
Sandra Albayar. Sandra Stang.
Approve.
Sandy Rains.
Approve.
Scott Quinlan.
Approved.
Sue Lau.
Approved.
Tom Krogstad.
Approved.
Tracy Briers.
Approved.
Wayne Heidel.
Well, I guess I just want to say thank you.
Perfect. Okay, motion carries. Congratulations, Wayne. That's we're very excited to work with you. And Sue, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you, and I hope we have the opportunity to continue to work with you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So,
Sue.
yeah, thank you. Wayne, would you like to make any remarks?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Sue and Paul. Paul, you've been there many, many years. I know Sue has been too, and you guys have done a great job.
Thanks.
And so I'm really excited to take the reins from you guys. So.
All right.
Thank you. All right. And with that, we will move into the election of the vice chair. So the names of the members interested in serving as vice chair will soon be displayed on the screen. All right. So they are up on the screen now. Does anyone else wish to be added to the list? All right.
I think we need to remove Wayne's name from the list.
You know, that will be a challenge so to do right now, but I just ask the committee to please not select Wayne at this time.
That's the best way to go about it.
Great idea.
All right, sorry about that. And do any of the members displayed on the screen wish to make any remarks?
And if for any reason someone's not able to see the poll, please feel free to use the chat function again, either for everyone or for just Jared and I privately.
Yeah, Jared, this is Scott Quinlan.
Great, go ahead.
I just like to say hello to everybody, and I know I'm new on the committee, but I've been working behind the scenes with Gracie and other folks in OCTA for the last 15 years of helping other riders make their rides better for others. I didn't say I am a guide dog user as well. My guide dog is Irish, and I've been with him since 2016. Prior to that, I used a cane for 10 years. And I really enjoy working behind the scenes, and I look forward to working in front now as well. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Scott. Do any other members wish to make remarks? All right, and if none, then I ask that you turn your attention to the poll and please select a candidate for vice chair. And I will give this a minute for your guys' votes to come in, and we will do the same process once more. I'm just missing about 2 folks.
I don't see anything in the chat, Jared.
Perfect. All right, and that puts us at our number. And I would like to give a congratulations to Mr. Cesar Hernandez for receiving the most votes. And at this time, I would like to ask for a motion to elect Cesar Hernandez as vice chair.
So moved. This is Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Can I get a second?
Scott
So
Quinlan.
I missed that. Who was that?
Scott.
Candy Rains.
Great, thank you. And I will now conduct a roll call vote. Okay, Arturo Casares.
Approved.
Bhumit Shah. Brandy Kelly Contreras.
Approve.
Carolyn Wallstrom. Cesar Hernandez.
Approved.
Ellen Shank. Erica Danchek. Giovanna Lara. Gloria Reyes. Henry Michaels.
Approve.
Isaac Lopez.
Approve.
John Ott.
Approve.
John Ulrich. John Pete.
Approve.
Mallory Vega. Mary Lou Shattuck.
Approve.
Mike Gonzalez.
Approved.
Jake Schwartzberg. Pam Thompson.
Approve.
Paul Miller.
Concur.
Raymond Buke.
Concur, agree.
Richard King.
Agree.
Sandra Albayar. Sandra Stang.
Approve.
Sandy Rains.
Approve.
Scott Quinlan.
Approve.
Sue Lau.
Approve.
Tom Krogstad. Tom.
I was muted there. Approve.
Thank you. Tracy Briers. Wayne Heidel.
Sorry, approved.
Okay, thank you. Wayne Heidel.
Approved, and I look forward to working with you, Cesar.
Great. Motion carries. Congratulations to you both. We are very excited to work with you and be here to answer any questions that you may have going forward. We'll chat after the meeting. And Sue, if you'd like, you can move us into item 4.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to item 4, an enhanced mobility for seniors and disabled grants program update from Jennifer Jennifer Farinas with OCTA Planning.
And members of the committee, my name is Jennifer Farinas, and I'm a senior transportation funding analyst in the planning department and program manager for the Enhanced Mobility for Seniors and Disabled, or EMSD, call for projects. So thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the EMSD call, which is intended to enhance the mobilities of seniors and individuals with disabilities where public transportation may not meet their needs. The call offers grant opportunities to nonprofit organizations and local public agencies. As many of you know, the OCTA board approved the release of the call at their July 12th meeting. We held an application development workshop yesterday via Zoom, and applicants have until September 9th to submit applications. More information can be found on our program webpage at www.octa.net/EMSD. There you will find the guidelines, fact sheet, applications, and associated documents. If you have any questions, please reach out to us via email or phone. Our contact information is listed on the webpage. We plan to have the OCTA board consider award recommendations at the November 22nd meeting, and projects can start as early as winter 2022 after the cooperative agreement has been executed. The call is a 2-year program, and applicants can request funding in either FY 2021-2022 or FY 2022-23. And finally, Chair Lau, or incoming Chair Heidel, we're looking for a member to serve on the evaluation panel. So if you could let us know who you'd like to participate, please let me know. That concludes my presentation. And thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the EMSD call. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Jennifer, could you just share a little bit? We have about 7 new members on the call today about what you're looking for from a volunteer.
Oh, yes. So we plan to have an evaluation panel of 5 members. 3 of them we're planning to have as OCTA staff, and 1 served from LA Metro. And once we get all the applications on September 9th, we'll be doing a just internal review just to make sure all the applications first have everything that's required. And then after that first initial check is done, we'll be providing them to all the panel members just to help us evaluate in accordance with the scoring sheet that we've developed, which is also available on our website. So we're just looking for input, and also as we evaluate them, if there are any additional considerations, we'll look to improve future calls with that information. So we're just looking for, given that the SNAC committee is really on the front lines of serving these communities, just for your feedback and how we can make the call better.
Jennifer, could you also note about how many hours it takes?
Yes, I'm sorry. At this time, it's just we don't know how many applications we'll receive, but during the 2018 call, I believe we had about 7 applications. And it might have taken maybe 1 or 2 days to go through them, as I recall, because I served on the panel beforehand.
Thank you. I served on that panel as well. It did take a couple of days.
Yes, so it is a little time consuming.
But it's a great way for people to be involved.
Yes, and especially your feedback would really help us in making the program better.
Would anyone else like to ask questions of Jennifer? Would anyone like to volunteer at this time? Okay, so what is the best way for someone to volunteer? Do they email you, Jennifer,
or I'm not sure, Jared, if the formal means would be through you or Christina?
Yeah, if they just contact me, I'm happy to share that with you, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. And thank you, Jennifer. Next, we have item number 5, SNAC name considerations to be handled by Christina Byrne with our OCTA public outreach.
Good afternoon, Chair Lau. This is Christina Byrne, and I'm the Public Outreach Department Manager at OCTA. Earlier this year, it was brought to staff's attention by a current member of the committee that it may be time to update the name of this committee to one that represents its inclusive intention. We brought this item to the committee for consideration and discussion in April, and we were able to have a great dialogue and collect the committee's thoughts. There were 3 finalists as far as the names were concerned that emerged from that conversation. Those were number 1, the Transit Accessibility Advisory Committee. Number 2, the Accessibility Transit Advisory Committee. And number 3, to keep the name as is, the Special Needs Advisory Committee. Subsequently, the staff liaison, Jared Hill, asked for additional comments and feedback via email from the committee members and received none. Now that some time has passed from that discussion this past April, and do any committee members have any comments on these 3 names they'd like to share with their colleagues? If not, I will ask Jared to please display the 3 named finalists on the screen and ask for you to vote on your preferred selection.
Can we hear? This is Scott Quinlan. Can we hear the names once again, please?
Absolutely. The first is Transit Accessibility Advisory Committee. The second is Accessibility Transit Advisory Committee. And then the third would be the name as is, not changing it. So it would remain as the Special Needs Advisory Committee.
Christina, the second one is just the first word.
Correct.
It's
It's
just
flip-flopped.
It's
Yeah.
accessible, not accessibility.
Oh, excuse me, accessible.
Yeah.
My apologies. Thank you.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So Transit Accessibility Advisory Committee and Accessible Transit Advisory Committee.
And Christina, you have the votes coming in now. We're about halfway through.
Great.
All right, just waiting on about 3 more people.
Very good.
Hey, Jared, this is Scott Quinlan again.
Hi, Scott.
My keyboard's kind of wonky. Can you put me down for vote for number 2?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and that is everyone's vote that has come in. And not gonna believe this. We have a tie between number 1 and 2, both. Oh, shoot, looks like we had one more come in here.
I see a tie still.
And then we just need to add, I believe that was Caesar to number 2.
Oh,
so
did he go in the
looks like
chat?
he made a comment that his keyboard was funky.
Okay.
So he's asked for his vote to be on number 2.
No,
which
that
is
was
the
not
accessible-
that was not me.
Oh,
sorry. Who was that said that?
It's Scott.
Oh, Scott. I'm sorry. I thought that was Caesar.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so Scott asked for his vote to be on number 2 due to a keyboard issue. And that puts number 2 with the most results at the Accessible Transit Advisory Committee.
all right. Thank you very much. And just by way of information, this decision will then be shared with the board, but the board does not need to make a final selection. This is the committee's recommendation.
Do we need Christina and Jared, do we need a motion for a name change at this point as an action item? Or are we deferring that?
Yeah, I think Christina just has a little bit to mention here.
Yes, the Accessible Transit Advisory Committee received the most votes. And since we're required to do a roll call vote on action items, would someone please make a motion and a second to update the name on the committee?
I make the motion. This is Wayne Heidel. I make the motion. Name?
This is Isaac Lopez. I second.
Excellent. And would Jared now please conduct the roll call?
Yes. Arturo Casares,
Approved.
Bhumit Shah, Brandy Kelly Contreras,
Approve.
Carolyn Wallstrom, Cesar Hernandez, Ellen Schenk, Erica Danchek, Giovanna Lara, Gloria Reyes, Henry Michaels,
Approve.
Isaac Lopez,
Approve.
John Ott. Thank you. John Ulrich, John Pete,
Approve.
Mallory Vega, Mary Lou Shattuck,
Approve.
Mike Gonzalez, Jake Schwartzberg, Pam Thompson,
Approve.
Paul Miller, Paul Miller,
Sorry, I was muted. I approve. Sorry.
thank you. Raymond Buke,
I approve.
Richard King,
Approve.
Sandra Albayar, Sandra Stang,
Approve.
Sandy Rains,
Approve.
Scott Quinlan,
Approved.
Sue Lau,
Approved.
Tom Krogstad,
Approved.
Tracy Byers,
Approved.
Wayne Heidel,
Approved.
And do you see the hands up, Jared?
yeah, so John and Isaac, I got both of you. Thank you.
Okay, great.
And the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jared. How are we going to pronounce the initials of the committee now?
You know, I'm sure we'll be in discussion about that. And,
I think
bring
it's pretty simple. It's ATAC.
Okay, just want to make sure that's how we're going to say it.
Yeah, I like ATAC.
So, the syllable is on the first, I mean, the accent is on the first syllable, is that correct?
Yep.
Or is it on the
ATAC
second syllable?
Opposed to attack.
Yeah. As opposed to attack. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Good question. That's a good question, Sue.
So we're going to say ATAC. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that sounds great. Okay, now we'll hear from item number 6, the bus restructuring study by Kim Tucker of OCTA Planning.
All right, thank you, Chair Lau. And good afternoon, committee members. My name is Kim Tucker. I'm the section manager for transit planning at OCTA. And this is an introduction of OCTA's bus restructuring study, which we just kicked off last month. Next slide. So last time OCTA conducted a restructuring study was in 2012, and those changes were implemented as OC Bus 360. And those improvements focused resources in the highest demand areas in the core of the county. And as we all know, in just a few short years, our transportation landscape has shifted dramatically. COVID has negatively affected OCTA transit ridership, which is still down by about 50% from before COVID. And this is consistent with the impact that COVID has had on transit agencies throughout the United States. But even before COVID, the advent of transportation network companies like Uber and Lyft were providing a new transportation option for people. And so this study will look at OC bus route performance along with a new data set that we have available through a vendor, which is cell phone-based location data for travel in Orange County. And this will allow us to identify gaps in our service and potentially better serve emerging markets. This study will take this information along with stakeholder and customer input and develop route modifications to improve performance. Next slide. So the study is comprised of 3 phases, the first of which is research and data collection. The consultant will evaluate the items that you see on the slide and will develop a draft service plan taking into consideration public and stakeholder input. And the draft service plan will be shared with the board of directors and the public. And additional modifications will be made to develop the final service plan. Alternative service recommendations will also be developed as part of the plan, which may include recommendations for service delivery for OC Access and OC Flex. And the final phase is implementation assistance, which should OCTA choose to exercise, will include scheduling and operational assistance. Next slide. Here is the schedule for each of those phases, and we are in phase 1 right now. We'll be using performance data and travel data from September 2021 to inform the plan. Phase 2 will occur during the majority of 2022 and will culminate with an anticipated board of directors approval of the final plan in August 2022. And the changes will be implemented starting with the February 2023 service change. Next slide, please. A substantial part of this effort will be the public involvement from stakeholders, the public, customers, and the board of directors. And of course, we will keep this group apprised of project milestones along the way, and this group will be invited to the stakeholder meetings that will be held. The first round of outreach will occur in late winter 2022 and will focus on developing the draft service plan. The second round will occur in late spring and early summer and will focus on final plan recommendations. Next slide, please. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Okay, thank you, Kim. Our next item is OC Flex update from Jack Garate with OCTA Transit.
Madam Chair, before we go on, the questions weren't answered on the previous item, so I'm putting a point of order, please.
Okay, we'll move back on our agenda. Did you have a question, Isaac?
Yes, on the previous item, is the name change effective next meeting?
It will be effective immediately.
With board approval, that is, right?
It does not require board approval, it just requires board notification.
Okay. Okay. Isaac, did you have any more that you wanted to ask about that? I can't hear you, Isaac. I see. Yep.
Excuse me, I was on mute. There's another question from another committee member. I just want to make sure their question is addressed.
Thank you. Can you see who that is?
I don't.
He could be referring to there was a hand raise from Mr. John Ott, but that was in reference to the roll call vote.
Right. Okay. Isaac, have we answered your question? Isaac, have we adequately answered your question? I think you're saying yes.
Hold on. Can everybody hear me?
Now yes. We can hear you.
He said yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Now we'll return to the OC Flex update by Jack Garate with OCTA Transit.
Right. Good afternoon, Madam Chair Lau and members of the committee. Jack Garate, Department Manager of Paratransit Services, here to provide you with an OC Flex pilot update. Next slide, please. So let me take a few minutes here to provide you all with a quick background overview of the program. As part of the OC Bus 360 program, several strategies were identified to improve bus ridership and meet changing mobility demands within the county. One of those identified strategies was to evaluate the effectiveness of an on-demand solution to fill service gaps in low-demand areas, which would provide connections to the OC bus network and Metrolink commuter rail stations. In 2017, the board approved for the microtransit pilot program to be developed and operated. The microtransit pilot program, named OC Flex, officially launched in October of 2018 as an on-demand service available in 2 specific zones. Next slide, please. And here's a look at those 2 zones. On the left is what was referred to as the blue zone, which incorporated areas of Huntington Beach and Westminster. And on the right is what is referred to as the orange zone, encompassing the areas of Aliso Viejo, Mission Viejo, and Laguna Niguel. Labeled within each of the maps here are key destinations and transit connectors, which made an on-demand service in these areas an attractive option for riders. Next slide. OCTA identified 5 goals for the microtransit service within Orange County, which is to provide public transit mobility in low demand areas, to reduce total operating and capital costs, to reduce vehicle miles traveled, to extend the reach of the OC bus and Metrolink services, and ultimately to meet customer demands. Next slide. To measure these 5 goals, OCTA identified 5 performance metrics for the OC Flex service: productivity, using the key metric of boardings per revenue hour; cost effectiveness, using subsidy per boarding, calculated as a ratio of actual costs and revenues received; shared rides, connecting transit trips; and customer satisfaction, which would be used via surveys. Next slide. In the initial year of the pilot, OC Flex service exceeded 3 of the 5 performance targets and was trending favorably in the remaining 2. The board approved the extension of the pilot through October of 2020, and strategies to improve performance and allow for greater service establishment and awareness were implemented in February 2020. Next slide. Looking at ridership before the pandemic, the performance of the pilot program overall was trending favorably, particularly in the orange zone, as can be seen in this graph. Unfortunately, the targeted strategies that were put in place in February of 2020 were never materialized. Again, due to some unfortunate timing, as the pandemic affected ridership significantly, with service levels decreasing as much as 85%, but then recovered slightly and leveled out at about 70% reduction during the pandemic. Next slide. The adjustments made to the OC Flex in response to the pandemic were a bit unique. As part of OCTA's safety efforts during the pandemic, shared rides were discontinued as a whole, and a maximum occupancy of 4 passengers per trip was established. In May of 2020, OCTA received notification from the vendor operating the service at the time that they were ceasing all operations in Orange County effective June 1st, 2020, as a result of the pandemic. In response, staff was able to exercise a reassignment of the agreements and shift the operations to our Irvine Construction Circle base. With the significant decrease in service levels, staff also made the difficult decision to temporarily suspend the blue zone, which provided service again in Huntington Beach and Westminster. And staff was also forced to reduce the number of vehicles in operation in the orange zone from 4 to 2. After board approval in November of 2020, the blue zone was permanently removed from service, and the pilot was also extended through December 2021 to be in line with the OC Access service, which is now a combined RFP. Next slide, please. As a result of the pandemic and the adjustments to the service, staff was able to accurately measure the success of the to accurately measure the success of the targeted improvement strategies that were put into place on February 2020. Throughout the pandemic, productivity, share rides, and subsequently cost effectiveness were hindered due to social distancing capacity constraints on the vehicles. And although staff did not complete a customer satisfaction survey, feedback provided by riders using the app gave the service a 4.9 or higher star rating. One last thing to note here is that the connecting trips, although it has been below standard, it has been very close to the target and remains that way. This indicates that the service throughout the pandemic was able to be a good resource for a key demographic of essential workers. And to be able to provide some additional information here, as of June of 2021, our boardings per revenue hour is at 2.0, and our subsidy per boarding is at $31.69. So again, just moving favorably as things are progressing in the recovery. Next slide.
Jack, I believe you have a hand raised from Mr. Isaac Lopez.
Okay.
And Isaac, you are on mute. Yeah.
Jack, I had a question for you regarding the suspension of the blue zone. Other than the pandemic, were there other factors that led to the suspension?
Thank you. That's a good question. So staff had already seen a unwillingness maybe of the service to hit there in the blue zone. We had kind of stabilized for the most part. If you could go back to that slide, Jared, where it has the blue, there you go, that slide. So you can see that the service never really materialized as a whole in that area. And although we made certain changes, you could see small blips whenever we made a change, but it never just solidified in that particular zone. So yes, the pandemic kind of forced our hand in a sense to be able to move in that direction. But ultimately the service never really hit as much as how you see the orange zone having high ridership. And I guess maybe to answer your question, ridership ultimately was the determining factor here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I think we're on slide 10, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay. So again, this graph provides a look at the orange zone specifically with regards to ridership during the pandemic. And again, after initially leveling off in ridership, staff observed an increase in ridership shortly after the holiday season. In review of the increase, we found that 32% of demand was being underserved during peak hours, and wait times were twice as high in the afternoon as in any other point of the day. This was largely due in part to our inability to provide shared trips at that time. And what staff ended up opting out to do is to add a third vehicle into operation on April 1st, and as so far has shown some good results. And although not viewable on this graph, the average weekday boardings has continued to increase month over month, and is currently about 78 average weekday boardings or 80 weekday boardings. That's kind of where we stand right now. Next slide. As mentioned previously, after the initial year of the pilot, staff proposed a 1-year extension to October of 2020 to apply these strategies to increase ridership. That proposal was approved in February 2020. Just before the onset of the pandemic. Unfortunately, staff was unable to measure the success of those proposed strategies, and the focus of the past year was on service maintenance and planning. In November 2020, the board approved to terminate operations in the blue zone and extended the service through December of 2021. In December of 2020, the board approved the release of the paratransit service RFP for OC Access, which also includes the OC Flex service. This procurement strategy will ensure the continuity of the program while the long-term planning process continues via the bus restructuring study, as just mentioned by Kim Tucker. When forecasting budget needs for the OC Flex in the new agreement, staff accounted for the first year to focus on service recovery, the second year to add an additional zone, and the third and fourth year to experience a 20% growth. But more will come with the bus restructuring study as it finalizes. This concludes my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions from the committee.
This is Cesar Hernandez. Who is the contractor for that program currently?
Our current contractor is the same contractor that operates our paratransit service, OC Access, which is MV Transportation.
MV, thank you.
And Jack, you have a hand raised from Mr. John Pete.
Jack, I was just curious, with the termination of the service in the blue zone, what transportation services are we providing in that blue zone now?
Well, we still have the bus service that's operating in that area. Initially, the pilot was just to get an idea of what the sense of that general area response to on-demand services is. But there was still an existing OC bus structure or OC bus fixed route lines that operate in those zones, in both zones. But more specifically in that blue zone, there's definitely more bus service in that area.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
I have a quick question. This is Wayne. Hey, wasn't the blue zone where they were canceling a lot of buses and stuff? Was that the blue zone or the orange zone?
I don't have a real answer to that. All I know that from history, I guess we had some more service reductions happen down in South County, which is where the orange zone is at, and not necessarily on the blue zone.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions there, Jared, that you see? I can't see any on my side.
Yeah, none in the chat. I think you are good to go, Jack.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jack. We will now hear item number 8, an OCTA budget update from Anthony Baruch with OCTA financial planning and analysis.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Baruch. I'm the budget manager here at OCTA. Today, I'll provide you with an overview of the fiscal year 22 approved budget. And with that, I'll move to slide 2, budget themes. Okay, so slide 2 has our budget themes, and starting at the top of slide 2, the fiscal year 22 budget has an overarching theme of emerging from the pandemic. And through conservative fiscal planning and decisive action, we are able to deliver a balanced and sustainable transportation. That being said, the budget is aligned to the comprehensive business plan, which is our 20-year financial forecast of all of OCTA's major programs. Also, I do want to note another action that has allowed for a balanced budget is the federal supplemental funding provided to the OCTA due to the COVID-19 pandemic. When it comes to our Measure M2 program, we have several projects currently underway. This budget keeps all projects moving forward and is aligned to the Next 10 delivery plan. For reference, the Next 10 delivery plan outlines all major projects over the next 10 years within the M2 program. For the 91 Express Lanes program, the budget assumes 14 million trips, which is a little over 80% of pre-COVID levels. Please move to slide 3, budget sources and uses. This slide shows a year-over-year balanced view of our budget sources and uses. Overall, the fiscal year 22 budget is approximately 1.27 billion and is 282 million less than the fiscal year 21 budget. As you can see at the bottom of the table, capital is the primary reason for the decrease in the amount of $269.4 million. This is primarily attributed to bus purchases and construction of the 405 freeway project that were budgeted and executed in fiscal year 21 with no need to budget in fiscal year 22. Now I'll move to slide 4, transit assumptions. This slide speaks to our transit assumptions for both bus and rail. For the bus program, it's assumed that LTF sales tax will increase by 3.2% to $163 million. And as we emerge from the pandemic, we do anticipate ridership will increase for both fixed route service and paratransit service. Fixed route service can support up to 1.45 million service hours, which is about 90% of pre-pandemic levels. And paratransit trips are comprised of primary and supplemental service, same-day taxi service, and special agency service. Paratransit trips are anticipated to grow to 980,000 in fiscal year 22. OC Flex will continue at 58,000 service hours in fiscal year 22. And for the rail program, service will remain at 57 weekly trips. This consists of 41 weekday trips and 16 weekend trips and will be supported by CARES Act funding. OC streetcar construction, vehicle delivery, and operation and maintenance expenses will continue through fiscal year 22. Slide 5, please. Measure M2 assumptions. Speaking to the Measure M2 program assumptions, LTA sales tax is anticipated to increase by 3.6% to $313 million. M2 freeway projects are in the amount of $334.6 million. Expenditures are primarily driven by right-of-way, design, and construction efforts for the SR 55 improvement, I-405 improvement, and South County I-5 improvement projects. Streets and roads projects are budgeted at $141.5 million, and expenditures are driven by contributions to cities to support local fair share, regional capacity, and traffic signal synchronization programs. Measure M2 transit projects are budgeted at $63.7 million, and expenditures are primarily budgeted to support community-based transit circulars, senior mobility, and construction of the OC streetcar. Slide 6, please. 91 Express Lanes assumptions. Regarding the 91 Express Lanes, trips are anticipated to increase from 10.1 million to 14 million, resulting in anticipated toll revenue of $42.3 million and non-toll revenue of $6.3 million. Major expenditures anticipated in fiscal year 22 include the toll road management contract in the amount of $7.7 million and contributions to the Placentia Metrolink station construction and freeway projects along the 91 corridor for Project J and Project I. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
This is Pam Thompson. I have a question.
Yes.
What is considered non-toll revenue from that last slide?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Non-toll revenue would be any violation fees or interest income we may receive on cash balances. So any fees they may receive outside of the fees they obtain from the service they provide on the 91 Express Lanes.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony, you have a hand raised from Isaac Lopez.
If we can go back, please, to the budget breakdown. I just had a question.
This one?
Yes. So you were saying that there was a decrease in the budget due to capital. How much does the ridership affect the capital? Is that the overall capital? Or are we talking about a specific category?
Oh no, ridership would be that'd be in our revenues area. So for the capital, I'm speaking to capital expenses. Are you saying did the revenues that we did not receive from ridership impact the decrease in the budget year over year?
Yes.
No, so for the capital piece, those revenues are primarily driven by grant funding that we receive at OCTA from the federal government or maybe some state grants. So ultimately the money rolls up to different buckets. A little bit of the ridership dollars may fall into the capital area, but not significant enough to cause a decrease in the budget year over year.
Thank you.
Does John have a question? John Pete?
I do. I was just curious, Anthony, what was the value of the supplement from the federal government that we received that allowed us to achieve the balanced budget?
So the amount that we have in the budget for the current year that helped us to be balanced in the bus area was $34.7 million. All
right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Pamela Thompson also has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Sue. Oh, I lost the slide. I'm sorry. The slide. It was showing an 18 on the slide with the numbers. It was showing an 18% increase in the LOSAN. And if you could, and I'm new. This is my first meeting. What does that acronym mean? LOSSAN.
Yes.
Salaries.
Yes, so LOSAN is actually an agency that supports the rail corridor from Los Angeles to San Diego, I believe. So OCTA does administer that that effort. So it is separate from OCTA, although OCTA administers it. So we do have a number of staff. I believe it's around 14 to 18 staff that do support that effort for the LOSAN function.
Okay, so we don't know why it's 18% increase over the year. If that was
yes,
COVID, because people came back, or what was?
Oh yeah, excuse me. I thought you were asking what LOSAN was. I didn't.
Well, that too. I apologize because that is in addition to it. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So the reason for the increase is that we suspended all of our merit and special awards in fiscal year 21, and we brought them back in fiscal year 22, and so that is one of the reasons for the increase. Another reason for the increase are changes in staffing levels from a year-over-year basis. to support the need of that agency.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Cesar Hernandez.
Hey, Caesar.
Yes, the ridership per passenger now that COVID, how does that affect for the budget this year? And what is the difference?
Can you please repeat the question? Ridership per passenger? Can you please repeat
Current
that?
the cost per passenger on the buses. How much? What is the price? What does that come down to? And how did it get affected with COVID? Because you said the ridership is 50%. Have you done an analysis on the cost per passenger with the current ridership?
Ridership of 50%. Are you referring to the previous presentation? For the numbers for the cost per ridership, I do not have those with me. When I was speaking to the transit area, what I stated was the budget that we will have in place is we have enough budget to support 1.45 million service hours, which is about 90% of pre-pandemic level. The amount of boardings that we do anticipate receiving from a year-over-year basis, we do anticipate they will increase on the fixed route service side. We think that increase will be in about the 7% range, but I do not have the cost per boarding differences in front of me.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? There being no further questions. Thank you, Anthony Baruch.
Thank you.
This now brings us to item number 9, update reports. First, we have an OC bus update from Johnny Dunning with OCTA operations.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Special Needs Advisory Committee members. Good afternoon, Johnny Dunning, Department Manager of Scheduling and Bus Operations Support. And I'll have a brief report on our OC bus service and performance. Since our last report to the committee, the state reopened and the passenger capacity on buses returned to normal, meaning that we can seat more than 20 passengers on our OC buses, though the mask requirement still remains in effect. With this development, COVID-related pass-bys are no longer being reported, as there have not been any requests or need for trippers as well, which is an indication that the current service plan that we're providing is meeting the needs of the traveling public. Ridership is steadily increasing incrementally, with the current trend now at approximately 70,000 boardings on an average weekday. As we look forward to schools returning to in-class instruction next month, we anticipate an increase in ridership. To ensure that we have the capacity to handle this increase that we anticipate, we'll be implementing a service change that will be effective on August 15th. So as we prepare for that, we continue to track ridership levels and on-time performance as traffic conditions return to pre-pandemic levels and ridership continues to increase. So, Madam Chair, that's all I have for a report on OC bus service, and I'll avail myself to any questions the committee will have.
Are there any questions for Johnny? Jared, do you see anyone that I can't see who wants to ask a question?
No questions.
Okay, thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Next, we'll have the OC Access Operation Update from Christian Blanco with OCTA Paratransit Services. Christina, are you with us?
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Christina Blanco, Field Administrator with OCTA. I will be reporting on OC Access Operations in place of Melissa Munguia this afternoon. So over the last several weeks, staff has been closely monitoring day programs throughout the county as they begin to resume or expand capacity of their in-person services. To date, we are aware of 50 programs that have reopened, all at varying levels of capacity. There are an additional 30 programs that the team is tracking which have not yet disclosed plans to reopen. The resumption of in-person services for some programs has had an impact on OC Access demand. As reported at previous committee meetings, demand for OC Access service has been increasing throughout calendar year 2021, even before California's reopening on June 15th. But since the reopening, ridership has increased significantly. To date, average weekday demand in July is 1,760 trips, which is a 20% increase when compared to June 2021. In anticipation of the increase in service, staff worked closely.
I think we may have lost you, Christina.
That were willing to return to duty. However, the contractor has struggled to maintain adequate staffing in the call center, which has resulted in increased hold times during peak hours. Fortunately, in July, MV was able to secure additional agents and hold times have begun to stabilize. Staff will continue to work closely with MV to plan for the expected increase in demand through late summer and into the fall. Lastly, as a member of the American Bus Benchmarking Group, or ABBG, OCTA decided to participate in a paratransit customer satisfaction survey being conducted by ABBG of their members. The last
Christina, I think your audio is cut out.
gather information to compare the OC Access service with other paratransit service providers. Notice to OC Access riders about the survey were provided in the quarterly Transit Connection newsletter distributed to all active OC Access riders on the OC Access webpage and via email. The survey was made available to riders through the following: online at octa.net/access survey, via printed survey mailed to all active OC Access riders, and via printed survey available on board OC Access vehicles. ABBG's goal for OCTA was to collect 250 survey responses. As of July 27, 2021, ABBG has received 900 surveys from OC.
I think we lost her again.
Yes, let's see if it comes back here.
I'm happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Is she back on?
Yes.
Christine, I have a quick question for you. Is there in made to increase the taxi portion of OC Access operations?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, is there any effort being made to increase the taxi portion of the service? Right now, a lot of people are not real happy, especially in the mornings, with the access operations. And so I was just curious if the taxi company was planning on hiring more drivers or anything like that.
So California Yellow Cab is actually actively recruiting drivers to assist with the OC Access contract.
Okay.
I can also add to that if that's okay. We are proactively working with Capco management to address those concerns related to response time on trips being performed by them. So it's something that we are aware of and we are hoping to resolve pretty quickly. It has been a continuing trend that we've been observing. So staff is committed to ensure that that gets corrected.
Okay. Also, one other quick question. As of the last meeting, we were talking about the taxi cabs turning their floor mats upside down for the guide dogs. Was the taxi cab service ever notified of that?
Yes, they were. They were notified of it. Their response was that there was an issue with the location that they pay for to have the vehicles cleaned. And we hadn't really received many complaints about that issue until recently. I got a call from Scott Quinlan, but he said that information was submitted to our customer relations department for further investigation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And Christine, oh, it's like
She's gone.
I can answer any question if needed, Jared.
Okay, Scott Quinlan, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, I was just going to expand on that of what Wayne was saying, because us who have guide dogs, we've been experiencing a lot of issues with taxis doing that. And I know they said that it was the cleaning company, but unfortunately, in 40 years of myself owning a car, I've never had an issue with a cleaning company who cleans your automobile turning your mats over upside down. I just don't seem to understand that. Really, it affects our guide dogs in a way in which it affects us, because when it takes the guide dogs off their game, it puts us at liability. And
Yeah, hey Scott, thank you for the comments, and I'll be completely honest here. I felt the same way that you did when I first heard of the response. So although we have not, as Christina had mentioned, have not received any sort of complaint of that nature in the past. We took their response and allowed it to kind of see it through in a sense. But it is something that we haven't necessarily taken the foot off the gas here yet. We are continuing to kind of observe what's going on. And if there are more repeated complaints that come through with a similar issue, then we will definitely take a different approach with our vendor. But for right now, we just have to take them for their word until we see that, any sort of other complaints come about, because we have not seen that before over the last couple of years. So it's something very new to us. But I do appreciate your feedback and anyone else's that provides us any additional information with regards to how service animals are being able to either sit on the floor while they're in operation or in transportation. I'm sorry. So please continue to kind of funnel that information to us so that we can adjust the contractor.
I just sent one to Christina this morning.
Yeah, she just she mentioned that. So we'll definitely take word on that.
Yeah, this is Cesar Hernandez.
Go ahead, Caesar.
Yes, the drivers are general contractors. The company, the Yellow Cab company, could enforce the rules and the guidelines for each driver to comply. And the contract that is provided from OCTA, you can also put that in your verbiage.
That is correct. That is something that's not necessarily an issue from our part, in a sense of having a contractual language there. From our perspective, it is expected that the service animals should have a smooth transportation service as well while they're assisting their rider. And again, Capco did not have a policy that said that they're supposed to be flipped. So everything kind of contradicted what our original kind of way of operations is, but we had never heard anything like this before. So again, what our approach was, we have to take them for their word on it and see how things come about. Now that we know that there's a second incident, we'll definitely address that contract a little bit differently.
Because I was vice president of the largest Yellow Cab company here in Orange County for many years. And the procedure is very simple. They go to a car wash and the company just pays a flat fee, makes arrangements with the car wash to wash the vehicles. It's up to the driver and up to the company to enforce any guidelines about the mats or anything else. It has nothing to do with the car wash company.
Right. And again, as mentioned, the contractor assured us that it was an issue with the car wash, so they addressed them. That issue should not be continuing. So the fact that we get a second concern here is something that we will address our vendor with.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Scott, did you have anything more that you wanted to ask?
No, that was it.
Okay. Jack, I have a question. Since the ridership has increased and the use of California Yellow Cab has also increased, and during the pandemic, the supply of vehicles and drivers has gone down. And now that the pandemic has opened up the doors for easier travel and the demand has increased, is there anything that can be done to alleviate the stress of having supply meet the demand? For example, since a lot of riders ride with non-commitment times, and can be flexible with their times. At the same time, there are riders who have to go to doctor's appointments and they have to adhere to a schedule. Is there any way to triage the calls so that those who can be more flexible can be assured that they can get their rides in time to get to places, even if it goes past a certain time?
Right, and thank you for the question, Madam Chair. So there's a couple of things at play here. So in regards to the growing number in ridership that we're continuing to see, especially since the beginning of this year, we are proactively working with MV in ensuring that they have the right level of driver resources available, not just with their subcontractor, using their subcontractor Capco as a means of flexibility, but also ensuring that their own driver workforce is at a level that can meet the increasing demand as well. So it's something that we've been proactively working on. Our performance overall has still stayed above 94%, which is the required threshold there, or the performance metric. So we are continually working with them to ensure that the right levels are there. So that's number one. Number two, the issue of ensuring that riders get to their appointments on time or are able to schedule a trip with the time that meets their need. There's a couple of things here. So, we have to unfortunately work under the guidance of the FTA as regards to paratransit operation, and we cannot have one person's trip is not more important than another's, regardless of where that person is traveling. So it kind of puts us in a tough situation where someone going to a medical appointment, their travel needs to be just as important as someone going to the supermarket. That's just the way that paratransit operations needs to function. But there are different ways for a rider to get to their appointment if needed. There's also a way for riders to schedule their trip as an appointment based or for arrival as opposed to pickup. So if you have a 10 a.m. appointment, you can schedule your trip to arrive to a location no later than, let's say, 9:45. The only problem is you don't have the flexibility to choose what time you get picked up, but at least you have the flexibility to know that you'll be there before 9:45 a.m. So there's some contending things here at play with regards to that.
There's been an instance, for example, where I was told a ride was coming at a certain time personally, and then I scheduled another ride after that. And then I was told, or I was notified that my second ride was arriving and my first ride hadn't even arrived yet. That put me in a very precarious situation, because then I would be a no-show for my second, and yet my first ride never showed up.
Well, I could totally understand the circumstance, and I hope that it's not something that that it's a trend that you've been experiencing. I'm hoping that it's maybe just a one-off, but definitely scheduling trips too close to each other could potentially create that situation. We never want to run late, right? We would love to pick up everyone on time and get them to a destination in a timely manner each and every time. Unfortunately, sometimes it does not happen, and we need to work on ensuring that those occasions where it does happen that way, that we minimize them as much as possible. But we do have some other means of flexibility for your services as well. So in that case, if you needed to reschedule that return ride for a later time, calling into the contractor and making that sort of request would be of assistance there as well. We also have our same day taxi service that you can schedule a same day ride to get to a location. So there's other means or opportunities for you to kind of find another resolution to it. But we definitely don't want to get to you late or make you late for another trip. It's not our intention. So I'm hoping that was something that you haven't necessarily hasn't occurred all the time, but I do apologize for that.
I have to tell you, it's a compliment, because the main point was that I had to do certain things on that same day, and to alleviate the stress, the rides were all changed automatically, and I was assured that I would still have transportation and a way to get home.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So,
Thank you for saying that. We work on processes to ensure that we get, that things happen without, the authority having to put our hands into it. So I'm glad that the process worked for you.
I think an ideal practice that OCTA has that I'd like to compliment OCTA on is the fact that if anyone is ever out in the field, they're always guaranteed a ride home. Is that correct, Jack?
That is correct. We have a no strand policy in our service.
That's wonderful. And I think, Scott, you have a question again?
Yeah, now that you brought that no strand up, we've had issues where people have been stranded later at night when they've scheduled an OCTA pickup, but it's the same day taxi that does, it's the yellow cab that picks them up, but to where they've been left by yellow cab and they've called in and they've been told, well, we don't have a vehicle right now. Call back in 2 hours. And it's already 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And where they had
Thank you, Scott, for that comment. And I know that we're kind of getting late into the meeting. So maybe we can reach out to you, Scott, and kind of get some of that information. But just to answer your question here, not sure whether that's a same day taxi situation or an OC access situation, because there are two different services. But what I can assure you is that regardless of who is providing that service at whatever hour of the day, that no strand policy stands. So if it's an issue that you've encountered or that you know about and can provide us with information, please let me know. We could obviously listen to recordings and be able to hear what occurred. We can see things in the service in terms of when riders were traveled or did not travel. So please reach out, and we'll reach out to you so that we could try to get some additional information.
Perfect, and I can give you that individual's name and you can talk to that individual.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you,
Sue, and we should
Christina
try to
and
move
Jack.
into our next item here.
Right. Next, we have the OC Access Eligibility Mobility Management Service by Gracie Davis with Paratransit Services.
Thank you very much. My name is Gracie Davis. I'm the section manager for the Paratransit Service. First of all, I would like to say congratulations to the 31st anniversary of the ADA that was signed in place July the 26th, 1990. I know that was significant for everyone on this Zoom and so many other individuals to have equal opportunity for all individuals as a civic right. Next, I would like to start off with our ADA eligibility update. I would like to share with you eligibility certification FY 2020 versus 2021. As you can see on the screen, starting with auto renewals. For 2020, we had 1,198 compared to 722, which equals to about 40% decrease. For visitors, 904 compared to 508, which equals to about 44% decrease. And for new individuals that are applying for the service, 2,863 for last year, and for this year, 1,916, which equal to about 33% decrease. And for research, 1,742 compared to 2,101. That was the only category that we had an increase in, which was 17%. And for the total number of assessments for this current year, 4,017 compared to last year, 4,605, it was a decrease of 13%. Overall, these decreases is related to COVID-19. And as we move forward for the past 2 months that we have looked at eligibility, it has been normal compared to the pandemic, which started last year in March. Our numbers for certifications are gradually approaching 500 per month. So let me share with you some information about our in-person assessment center. We are approaching to start a soft start starting September the 7th. That soft start will consist of noon.
No, le pongo en mute, mira.
Excuse me, could you please mute your phone?
I think we just got them muted. Thank you, Gracie.
Thank you. As I was indicating, we are getting ready to embark upon our 100% functional assessment process, but we will start off with a soft start. As of September the 7th, we will identify individuals that are new and those that have a presumptive eligibility. Those will be the first category that we will start. After 3 months, we plan to incorporate all individuals for the in-person assessment. But our start will only apply if it's within the guidelines of Cal OSHA and the TSA guidelines. Next, I would like to give you an update on our mobility management service. And let me give you some stats compared to last year. We completed 39 workshops with a total of 495 participants, and we identified 440 individuals from the eligibility process for travel training. Let me share with you some of our current development. We are collaborating with marketing and the ADA eligibility team, and we have sent out an e-blast of 550 participants. That e-blast went to social service agencies, libraries, senior centers, school and religion organizations to promote our travel training program, which we are currently calling transit training. And this will promote multiple language, which include English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and traditional Chinese. Also, we promoted the multiple language in our current newsletter, which went out this past July, mid-July. Lastly, I would like to share with you some travel training information. That's the individual transit training information. We have embarked on online transit training, and as soon as we get guidance from Cal OSHA, we will start with our in-field travel training. We have completed 5 travel trainings online, and we also are in the process of moving forward, as I indicated, with the in-field. If anyone is interested in learning any information about our travel training program, please reach out to us at mmp@octa.net. And Efren, will you please put that email address in the chat? That's the conclusion of my presentation. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gracie. Next, we have the Senior Mobility Program update by Joanne Jacobson with OCTA Paratransit Services.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. Again, I'm Joanne Jacobson, the Community Transportation Coordinator, and I'm going to give an update and a year-end information on the Senior Mobility Program. So first, I'm going to give you information for the past 3 years on the amount of trips that have been provided. There are currently 32 cities and 3 nonprofit agencies participating in the SMP. As you're aware, our fiscal year begins July 1st and ends June 30th. So looking at the last 3 years of trips, for fiscal year 18-19, which was July 1st of 18 through June 30th of 19, 275,000 SMP trips were provided that year, which is the most recent year without any COVID-19 implications. So then when we're looking at the next year, 2019-20, 193,000 trips were provided. The decrease in trips reflects the start of COVID-19 in March of 2020, where all the SMP transportation programs temporarily shut down. Now, looking at this past program year, fiscal year 2021, that just ended June 30th, 71,000 trips have been provided, which reflects an entire year of COVID-19. So you can see that the pandemic has had a big effect on all of our SMP programs. There continues to be 5 SMP transportation programs that are shut down and not providing any trips. These cities are looking to restart their programs in the next several months, depending on current circumstances. No city or agency currently runs their nutrition program. This program provides lunches to residents at the senior center. So since no senior centers are currently opened, they are not providing meals. There are actually several centers that are providing a little bit of service, a couple of classes, but no centers are providing lunches at the facility. 15 of our SMP agencies are continuing to deliver meals to residents' homes that have participated in their nutrition program. And 5 agencies provide frozen meals to residents, and these residents drive to the senior center to pick up their meals. So looking at funding, I'm happy to report that even during the pandemic, our funding has not decreased. Agencies receive funding bi-monthly based on sales tax revenue and their population of 60 years and older. So for fiscal year 18-19, $3,019,000 was distributed to all the cities and agencies. The following fiscal year 19-20, it rose to $3,047,000 distributed. And then this past fiscal year, ending June 30th, $3,081,000 was distributed to all the agencies. Now, the funding allocation formula is adjusted every 10 years based on census figures. OCTA will not adjust the funding allocations until the census has been validated, which will not be until early next year. And then as a final note, the SMP contracts were just renewed for another 5 years with a 5-year option term. And these agreements are in effect until Measure M2 sunsets in 2040. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Cesar Hernandez? Okay, are there no more questions, or are there any questions?
Yes, Joanna, what programs have opened up since COVID reopened?
I can give you a list. There's been 15 of them that are providing transportation. I can send you that list if you would like.
I would like that if possible.
Sure.
Joanne, if you send it to me, I can share it with Caesar if you don't already have his. Perfect. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Joanne.
Sure.
The next step update is on marketing and customer engagement by Stella Lynn, Department of Manager of Marketing and Customer Relations.
All right. And Sue, I believe there is no report at this time for this item.
Okay. All right. Well, finally, Jared, will you provide a staff liaison report?
Yes. Thank you, Chair Lau and SNAC members for attending today. We anticipate our next meeting on October 25th to be held in person. So mark your calendars. And if you've never been to our boardroom, we're excited to welcome you. If you want to direct your attention to the chat box, I am going to be posting a link to a presentation from Cambridge Virtual Academy and Anaheim Unified School District discussing access and public transportation that we thought this committee would really enjoy. So please feel free to check that out after the meeting and take a look. And Chair Lau, that concludes my report.
Okay.
Hey, Jared.
Yep.
The meeting is the 25th or the 26th? I had the 26th in my calendar. Don't we generally meet on Tuesdays?
Yes, let me confirm. Yes, sorry, that is a typo.
Correct.
It's October 26th. That's a great catch. Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe Ray.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else? This brings us to item number 10, committee member comments. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to our ATEC members to offer any reports.
I have a comment. So this is Isaac Lopez.
Thank you, Isaac. Go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank you and I want to thank Paul for your service as chairs. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And I welcome the incoming chairs for next meeting. Also, I had some technical difficulties during Johnny's presentation. Jared, if you could forward my comments to Johnny, I would really appreciate it. Regarding the the upcoming school reopenings, I'm concerned that especially on the 57, is that southbound, 57 southbound, around the school ending time, around 3 o'clock, there's a bunch of kids that board the bus. The majority of them are under 12 and are not eligible for the COVID vaccine. I'm just concerned for the disabled people that have to share those spaces. A lot of those disabled people cannot wear masks, and for various different situations, they cannot get the vaccine themselves. So I wondered if it was possible to give special day trippers just for the kids that are under 12.
I'll pass that comment to Johnny. Thank you, Isaac.
Hey, Jared, I have just a quick question for you. This is
Yeah.
Wayne.
Go for it.
So you'll be in contact with me. Do I need to come there?
Yeah, we'll reach out to you shortly with some information to schedule, like a meet and greet and get to know you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing that with the incoming chair and vice chair.
Yes, good point.
Are there any other comments? Again, thank you, everyone. On behalf of Paul and myself, thank you for the honor of serving as your chair and vice chair. And congratulations, Chair Wayne Heidel and Vice Chair Cesar Hernandez. If there's anything I can do to help with our leadership transition prior to October 26th, feel free to contact me and I'll be happy to be of assistance. At this point, let's see, before 3 o'clock, I would like to adjourn today's ATAC meeting. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the OCTA ATAC will take place at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, October 26, 2021.
Thank you, Sue and Paul. And I move to close the meeting.
Thank you.
Participants 30.